Yeah, I have the best dreams. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh man, can I just go back to sleep?
A lot of people may want to know the difference between lucid dreaming, astral projection, and also out of body. Aren't they all the same thing? Oh, or are they different? So let's find out. Hi, this is Daniel Lakstins, and you're listening to the Ultimate Reality Surfing Program. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that way you can always get this awesome content for helping you to create the best life ever. Hey guys, welcome to the Ultimate Reality Surfing Podcast. I'm Daniel Lakstins, and right over here is my buddy Todd Ronan, co-host.
Daniel, thank you for having me.
Are you a lucid dreamer? Are you
I have had dreams where I'm not lucid, but I've had dreams that I remember them when I wake up. I don't think that's as close, but yeah, I have the best dreams. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh man, can I just go back to sleep?
But the biggest question I was thinking is, a lot of people may want to know the difference between lucid dreaming, astral projection, and also out of body. Aren't they all the same thing? Oh, or are they different? So let's find out.
Not really, because I think that there are many differentiations of how much of your consciousness is put into each of those endeavors. So when I'm having an out of body experience, I have about 90% of my consciousness detached from my physical body, and then it drops in percentage the further you go away from that. So astral travel, you probably get about 70% of your consciousness outside of your body. And lucid dreams, it dryly drops down under 50% of your consciousness outside of your body because you're still immersed in that scene that your mind is creating. So you're kind of just right next to your brain.
Now, I love that you mentioned these percentages of how much consciousness is available within each of these states. But can you explain to our audience what each of these states are and how? Because a lot of people might think they're all the same, but they're not. I mean, there was a time when I was, that I thought that oh, it's basically that each term may be synonymous with the other, but they're not. So can we maybe even start out first? Lucid dreaming is where we all first, most of us. I grew up lucid dreaming. I just wake up in my dreams and go, oh, I'm dreaming. Oh, let's go do some flying. Let's have some fun. But now, so lucid dreaming, I can say that one is when you can wake up in your dream and you're dreaming, and then you can start manipulating the dream from that point on. But can you explain astral travel and then out of body for us?
Well, you're closer to your brain. Like I say, there's a brain and a mind connection. And when we transfer consciousness into our mind, then we're more disconnected from our physical body. So if you're lucid dreaming, you're still pretty much all in your brain. You're asleep, but your consciousness is awake, and you have a certain level of lucidity where you can influence the gaming program of the dream that you're operating. So you can think, oh, this isn't normal. Oh, I know what I can do. And then you get excited about it and you have like a unique dreamscape experience, but you're still mostly dream centered and you haven't gone anywhere. And so when you drop into the astral realm, you're transferring a consciousness into your higher mind, and you can see like the non-physical representations of everything around you in the physical. So some things might have a very physical component to them, but they'll be mirrored or reversed, or some things might be in the wrong place, or instead of your monitor on your desk in your computer room, you see an antique typewriter. Well, to your unconscious, it means the same thing, but it's not the same device. And it just takes on like, metaphorics meaning when you're having that sort of experience in the astral.
Okay, so then let's look at the next one, out of body.
When you're in an out of body experience, you witness both your physical body and the physical things that are around you. So you might see things as like a waviness to them. You'll see the physical objects that are there, but you can see through them and you can see the energy of them. So it's more realistic of a physical experience than an astral travel, because there's a differentiation of how much of your conscious mind is active and how much of your consciousness has been projected into your higher mind.
The thing is even in dreams, what I've always felt, and I still feel this way. So I may not 100% agree, but I'm sure I'm sure you're right. But when it comes to lucid dreaming, I think that when it comes to all dreaming, that we are actually in the astral realm. When we're sleeping, we are in that other dimension, that's where we live. That's where we're truly from. But now astral projection, isn't that basically meaning that we're projecting our consciousness into our astral body? So we all have a counterpart astral body that we go into, but I'm just like, isn't that possible that we're already in our astral body while we're sleeping? And then, but then again, when you look at out of body experiences, they are like, you are literally, I've read Robert Monroe stuff, and it was incredible. But literally, he could walk around his house, and then he could walk through the wall and walk over to another person's house, listening to their conversation. And then later that afternoon, if he was doing this during the day, he could go over and get confirmations that he really heard the real thing. And
Yeah.
so it was much more solid. Whereas in a dreamscape, who knows? Dreamscape is really weird.
He was able to solidify his consciousness into 90-95% levels during his out of body experiences. And
But he's
and you
still in an
know,
astral body though, right? When
it
he's
was still out of body. Yeah. I mean, if I were, so let's take this to the high extreme and say me, Todd Ronan, as a remote viewer. I teach remote viewing. I teach a course on it. So this example that you're mentioning with Bob Monroe, we could use that as a target, a practice exercise for my students in the class. And we could target that the consciousness of Robert Monroe at the time that he walked to his neighbor's house, and we could identify what that looked like, what he looked like, what percentage of him was there, whether he was a physical being, a non-physical being, a consciousness ball of light. And
Mhm.
we could identify that, and then we could recognize it. We would see him in our remote viewing session, but the woman that was next door to him wouldn't have seen him. I think she mentioned that she felt someone was there, but didn't see him there.
Right. That's the story. And I don't know if it was his next door neighbor. It may have been down the street or at an office building or something. I can't recall. It's been a couple of years.
Nevertheless,
Huh?
nevertheless,
Nevertheless, yeah. That'd be really cool. And that's the other thing too, is I've read other things where people have actually done this practice out of body, that they went to visit someone maybe on the other side of the planet, a loved one, friend or something, and they were able to materialize like a ghost like body for the individual when they're conversing with them. So I don't know if you've heard or read anything about stuff like that.
so if you're alive and if you still have your physical body, and if you're very connected to a person, you can project your own sort of like mirror self to that person. And it's possible that they would see you, but it's not likely.
It may have been Joseph Murphy, I think, one of his books mentioned this. Yeah. That's cool though. So it's a mere reflection of your body, you're saying?
I think that's what it is. The astral form is a mirrored perception of your body. In fact, if you can heal that mirror projection of your body, and then it uploads to your physical body. So it's a way to circumvent pain and stress and any problems that you might be having by working it out in a holographic form before uploading it to your physical form.
Isn't that what the scripture says? As above, so below, so as in heaven, meaning the astral realm, different writers say different things. Like Frederick Dodson says that, you got your lower astral realms, and then you have your higher astral realms. And then you hear other teachers that are like on, and man, if you basically screw up really bad in this life, then you may end up on a lower level of the astral realms, even further down. And that's the reason why we're wanting to raise our vibrations high, so that way after we finish this life, the next life we come into higher levels of the astral realm, or eventually what's above the astral realm?
The God realm.
The
I don't
God
know.
realm.
I don't know. I've never been there. I'm not
You
familiar with it.
probably have. I think when we died, that's the realm you go to first before you go back somewhere else, right?
Well, we don't transmogrify into a lower entity after death. We transfer into a higher entity that has probably more struggles that you would have here on Earth. You'll reincarnate into a person like normal. But if you had challenges on Earth that you were really heavy, were really strong, were really weighty, it may take you a couple of decades on the Earth plane before you're ready to come back, because there's a lot of healing to do, a lot of decompression to do. So we could visit Bob Monroe. Let's take Bob Monroe, since we're talking about him,
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
a target. And we could use Bob Monroe today as a remote viewing target. And we could find out where he is, what he's doing. And we wouldn't be in the physical, our remote viewers wouldn't be physically seeing him, but they would perceive a non-physical presence of a being that had a lot of power. And like, they wouldn't necessarily know that it's Bob Monroe, but they would know that this being is operating outside of physical reality. And then it would give him a better chance to see Bob Monroe in the different incarnations and the different spaces that he's been in, or has been in, or is continuing to be in.
That sounds amazing. When you want to set that one up?
I don't know. It would be probably a target that would piss people off, because they want to see verifiable targets when I give them to them. So it would be interesting to see how people react to non-physical remote viewing targets. I've done those before. I've done dream states before. We've done orbs before, and we've taken a look at what causes those orbs. And in most cases, unfortunately, it is a dust particle on the flash. So you see that as a minute residue of something, and you can carry that dust particle back and see where it came from. But that's more interesting than the orb in the photo to the remote viewers. Like, take that back in time. Where did the dust come from?
Are you saying particle dust?
It's a lot more interesting than looking at dust in a camera. Yeah.
Well, that was awesome. Now, I think, Ronan, I tell you what, why don't we give half of this to the next podcast? So you just watch the first half, and you're going to see us on the next podcast.
Okay, I'll see you in the next one. Do you want me to come over there?
Yeah, just come over here.
I'll
ask
right
her, or we can just astral project and find each other along the way.
I'll meet you in the middle. I'll meet you at the state fairgrounds. Okay.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. All right. So we'll see. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell, so that way you can always get this awesome content for helping you to create the best life ever. Run over to ultimaterealitysurfing.com and download a free copy of Designing Your Perfect Reality.
You see me yet?
Oh, hang on. There you are. Which state fairgrounds are you at? Texas?
Yes.
I see you. I see y'all.